When people have near-death experiences, they come back saying that something is missing. Something very, very bad was missing. What was missing was judgment. When people die, there's no judgment. There's encouragement. George Ritchie, who wrote the book Return to Tomorrow, said that when he had his life review, Jesus asked him, "Show me how you loved me." And the only thing he could think of was being an Eagle Scout. But then Jesus showed him all the ways in which he had been kind to others, which he had been tender and thoughtful. And he was encouraged. That's what God is doing with us. He's encouraging us. God does not condemn. He does not judge. He does not punish. God doesn't deal with us that way. We deal with each other that way, but God has no part in judging, condemning, or punishing. God is love. Love and punishment, or love and judgment, do not go together. In fact, judgment obscures love. It hides it. It keeps love from acting. People fall out of love with one another when they start judging one another. We fall out of love with God when we see God as a judge. When I was a priest, I used to tell jokes in my sermons. Everybody laughed. The priests that had come before me had been rather grim priests, so there was very little laughter in the church, so it was a difference. And one day, Joe Caldwell came up to me and he said, "Father, the Bible is not a funny book." I said, "Well, Joe, maybe it should be. Maybe they've left parts out that make us laugh." We begin to fear God, and that's when religion gets serious, when religion forgets to laugh. Forgets to laugh at an absurdity that love could be judgment. Judgmental love is an oxymoron. You may discern that a child's behavior is based in fear and as a result is reprehensible, but you don't judge the child for being afraid. You help the child turn from fear to love. You don't judge them as an inferior child. But referring to us as sinners since conception, original sin, we are born as inferior children and judged from the beginning as unworthy of God's love. Now that is pure human nonsense. Amen. Sin might be seen as a coping mechanism, coping with a world in which love is so rare and judgment is so common. Now that can take a lifetime and a few religious reforms to get to that God is loving and never condemning. That's where we are in Christianity. That's the new ground that we are breaking today, throwing off the old judgmental God for a God that loves us with a happy, abundant, joyful love that is completely supportive of who and what we are. The next revelation that must come of this is that we too are love. Love created us like itself. When love meets love, the universe sings, and so do we. We all have probably experienced love meeting love in a person or a pet or in nature. Suddenly we're happy. For happiness is what happens when love encounters love. When I saw my wife in her lavender wedding dress, what dignity, what grandeur, what beauty, what holiness. What is happening on earth now is that fear is mostly encountering fear, and people are getting angrier and angrier. When fear encounters fear, there is opposition and arguing and a power struggle to be superior to the other. Our society is struck through with this struggle of fear with itself. We see it in our desperate desire to win, to conquer, to dominate others. In short, in power over others, rather than power to lift others above fear's self-defeating struggle with itself. Unfortunately, we are not even close to the goal of seeing one another as love. That may be another 2,000 years away, so be gentle with yourselves. But as we see the equality of others, we make a step towards the goal of seeing each other as love. To see the equality in the other is what divine justice is. We can take that step, and it's a good one. It's the step of humility. Yet this is a hard step, for our ego sees happiness as achieving superiority over the other. The word pride is now used almost exclusively in a positive way in our society. Kids have school pride. Athletes are proud of themselves. Parents are proud of their children. In our society, it's as if we're all having our picture taken, feeling proud, victorious, and superior. I remember as a priest feeling superior to all those sinners in the pews, the sinners at confession, the sinners in the hospital. Bless their hearts, I used to say. I would say, bless your hearts for my tower of pride. And I would wrap my pride around myself like a fur coat. We feel superior to others, and we get little jolts of self-esteem. Feeling superior to others is how the ego says it can build you up. But it only ties you down in your tower of pride above everybody and all by yourself. When people fall in love, they have as their goal the happiness of the other. We say, all I want is for you to be happy. All I want is happiness for you. Now that's the honeymoon stage of a relationship. That stage starts to be over when we start to criticize one another, when judgment creeps in. This seeing guilt in one another is where we get stuck. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm good, you're bad. I do it the right way, you do it the wrong way. Judgment is the ego's way of gaining self-esteem. Now think about that. We feel better when the other person feels worse. But our judgment obscures the love that we already have for one another. We've all been together, life after life. We're very deeply in love with one another. We have been for ages, for centuries. You and I have a bond with one another based on our mutual innocence. I'm right, you're right. I'm good, you're good. I do it the right way, you do it another way, or I can see your point. Seeing the other's perspective is crucial in the process of establishing equality with one another. So where does our self-esteem and our self-worth come from in an equal world? It comes from God, of course. My superiority is replaced by my holiness, which is equal to yours and shared. In my holiness I have complete worth, and so do you. The Christ in me greets the Christ in you, and together we celebrate our equality. The sense of equal holiness is difficult to maintain in a competitive world, unless you begin to see the world as mainly insecure and afraid and full of games to sort out winners and losers. The world simply reflects the fears and dreams of its inhabitants. The world is nothing in itself, but is a mirror for us. All the world will show you is your superiority or inferiority to others, where you stand, but never who or what you are. No matter the value the world gives you, it will always be temporary and will pale before the grandeur of your holiness. The trick is seeing the holiness in others. First, you have to see some holiness in yourself. Now, holiness feels like an inner excitement and vitality. It's what you have as a child. I remember as a priest, we used to have a little game that the children would play and their parents would attend, and it was called T-ball. And in T-ball, the child would go up to a big tee, and they were children about from 2 to 4 to 5 years old. They'd go back up to a big tee, and they'd hit the ball off the tee. But the younger children didn't know what to do with the ball. They'd follow it around, they'd pick it up, they'd lick it, they'd bite it, they'd hand it to one another, they'd throw it away. And all the while, the parents would be screaming and yelling, "Quick, get to the base, score a run, catch the ball." They were apoplectic. But the children just kept being children. Children feel the love that they are, validated by the love of others, and the joy in them increases. Love meets love, and happiness results. If I know the holiness in myself, which I remind you feels like an inner vitality, an inner excitement, then I can begin to recognize it in you, and we will be delighted with one another. We need to become a society of small children, helping, not competing, supporting, not attacking, encouraging, not criticizing. If we could celebrate the divine within just our family and friends, we could make a huge difference in the world. Now, I don't mean to change the world into a paradise, but change it from a severe school to a gentle one, where we can savor life rather than simply survive. Several weeks ago, I was in the hospital after surviving a near heart attack. And I had a dream in the hospital. It was an ecstatic dream. And in the dream, I was talking to a spiritual being. And we were talking about forgiveness, how forgiveness solved everything. And the spiritual being handed to me a little tree with silver leaves. And the being said to me, "Whatever you put this leaf on will heal. Whatever situation you bring this life to will resolve. This will make everything better. And I took the leaf and I imagined people who were sick, and I put the leaf on them and they got better. People who were arguing and they came to peace. People who were depressed and they saw the light. Now I wish we had that silver leaf, but in fact we do. In the dream, every time I put the silver leaf on someone, I felt ecstatic. It never occurred to me that forgiveness could be so happy. In fact, I was so happy in my dream that I woke up laughing. Just laughing. Not caring really whether I lived or died, only that I was forgiven and I could forgive. Wouldn't it be nice to have a world in which every morning we woke up laughing? That'd be a great place to be. It would no longer be a severe school. It would be a school that we loved, that we couldn't wait to get back to. Now let's have our meditation. Sit in your seat. Put your feet on the floor, your head in the clouds. And know that God is love, and so are you. You are love. You were created in love, by love, for love. You are not your body. You are not your house. You are not your profession. You are not even your family. You are love. You make the difference that needs to be made in the world. If only it's a smile to a child, a kindly gesture, a tenderness towards someone, that you being love in your home and the world. I am love. Now say that to yourself. I am love. Now sit in silence with that. Sit in silence with your true identity. Love. That's what you are. That's what we are together. And now we rise out of the quiet. We rise from the stillness. Even if it's cloudy, we feel the sun on our face, knowing that all is well, and we are helping all to be well.